Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for Patriot's Accounting Software Overview. We have several different demographics in our audience today. You could be a business owner who runs accounting for your own business. You could be an accountant who runs accounting for your clients. You could be an existing Patriot customer, or you may not yet be a Patriot customer, but you're here to check out our product offerings. So whichever group that you fall in, I just want to extend a welcome to all of you and thank you for choosing to spend this hour with me as we go over our accounting product. So just real quick, a little bit about me. My name is Annie Hambaugh. I am the Director of Training here at Patriot. I have been with the company for 18 years since the very beginning, starting with human resources and product management, and now working my way in training. So for those of you who are not familiar, who is Patriot? So Patriot provides accounting and payroll software as a service. Our mission is to make accounting and payroll fast, simple, and affordable for millions of American businesses and their accountants. We are located in Canton, Ohio, which is home of the Football Hall of Fame, and we started in 2002. So just a few housekeeping items that I do want to go over with you before we dive in. You are in attendee mode, so your microphone and camera are turned off. I cannot see or hear you. You can submit questions during the presentation by clicking the Q&A button in your toolbar. We do have a team of panelists here that will answer your questions as we go. And then our last 10 minutes are going to be dedicated to a live Q&A session. We will be emailing you a video recording of today's webinar and a survey when we are finished. And the video will also be available in our Help Center and on our YouTube channel. Our goals for today are we are going to take a deeper dive into our accounting product. So I'm going to show you how to get set up as a new customer. I'm going to show you some accounts receivable and customer tasks, some accounts payable and vendor tasks, some financial tasks and reports, and touch on some new features that we are working on that are coming soon. So let's just dive in and start with a demo. I'm going to turn my camera off so I don't cover up our screen here. And I'm going to go through a sample test account that I have set up. So here, I've actually set up an account already. This account actually has payroll in it, but I haven't yet added accounting. So I wanted to show you this page. We have a left navigation menu. That's our main menu that lets you move anywhere in our software. So if I were to click accounting and I didn't yet have accounting, this is the page I would see. I wanted to show you this page to explain the two different product offerings that we have for our accounting product. You'll notice the pricing here is for our direct customers. So our business owners who use Patriot to manage their own businesses, this is the pricing. If you are an accountant, I just wanted to clarify that we do offer wholesale pricing for accountants who use this software to manage their clients. So we do have that information available on our website. Comparing the accounting premium, which is our most popular choice, and the accounting basic product, for both of these, you will be able to make unlimited outgoing payments to your vendors and contractors. You'll be able to create and print an e-file 1099s. You'll be able to track your expenses, income, and money. You can create unlimited invoices to your customers. You can accept credit card payments from your customers when you invoice them. You can import bank transactions. You can set up departments to further classify things. And you can integrate with our Patriot payroll product. So any payrolls that you run in Patriot payroll will be integrated and posted in your GL in accounting. Premium customers do have several more features. So if you need to reconcile your accounts, you can do that when you are a premium customer. You can create invoices and send those to your customers and then create and send estimates to your customers and then convert those to invoices when your customer accepts your estimate. You can create automatically recurring invoices. You can create invoice payment reminders that are automatic and are sent out once a invoice is so many days overdue. We give you some custom invoice template styles to choose from so you can further customize the style of how your customer invoices look. You can set up unlimited users with permissions to limit their view if you didn't want your extra users to be able to view everything. And then finally, we give you the ability to manage receipts and documents. So this is where you would upload either JPEG images or PDFs, and you can attach those to transactions throughout the software. I'm going to go ahead and click Try It Now to get my accounting added. This is your Select Your Products page. So I'm going to click Accounting Premium and save that. And what that's going to do is take me back to my dashboard. You'll see on my dashboard here, I have some commonly used tasks. And then at the end here, I see an icon to finish my accounting setup. So I'm going to go ahead and click that. I did want to point out first that when you do add accounting or payroll, you will get your first 30 days free. Even if you are a current payroll customer, when you add accounting, your first 30 days with the accounting product is free. So here we are at our very first page to set up the Patriot accounting. I also want to clarify that for business owners and accountants, this procedure works exactly the same way, whether you're setting it up for your own company or whether accountants are setting it up for their clients. So here we give you an option. How would you like to get started? So you can choose to use our standard settings. And honestly, this is what most of our customers end up choosing. Or you can customize your settings a little further up front here. When you use our standard settings, I'm going to click this most popular settings. We just give you an overview of all of the default accounts that we're going to be using. So we will give you a standard pre-filled chart of accounts. That was one of the questions that had come in is, do we start you with a standard chart of accounts? And the answer to that is yes, we do. And I will show you that in a little bit. And then just some other default account choices that we have made for you when it comes to customer and vendor payments and then integrating payroll. So I'm going to close that. I'm going to go ahead and use our standard settings just to keep this quick and keep this moving for the sake of time. So I have set up my standard settings. The next thing that we are asking is, do you have accounting information that you want to bring with you? So if you have beginning balances from a prior software, or if you've been doing it by hand, if you have a list of customers that you want to bring in, you can import or add those manually. If you have unpaid customer invoices, you can add those. If you have a list of vendors, so the people that you pay your outgoing money to, people that you owe, you can add those, and those include 1099 contractors. And then if you have any other unpaid vendor bills that you owe, if you don't have any of these 5 things, you can click no, nothing to add, and your setup is done. You're ready to go. Or you can skip this setup for now and come back later. I'm going to go ahead and click yes, continue to set up, and I'm going to show you the setup process. So you'll see here, we have some steps to go through, and this is to import all of those 5 things. And in my sample case for this purpose, I'm going to show you everything. You might not have all 5 of these pieces, but I do, so I'm going to show them to you. So the first thing I'm going to do is enter my beginning balances date. So notice it says we recommend using the last day of your previous reporting period. So in my sample scenario, I want to start using the software April 1st. So what I'm going to do is choose March 31st. So that's the effective date that all of my beginning balances are true. So I'm going to save this and continue. And then here is where I can make a decision. How would I like to add my beginning balances? I can either import my trial balances from a spreadsheet, or I can choose to enter them manually. In my case, I'm going to choose to import my trial balance from a spreadsheet. So I'm going to click that. And here it gives you a little bit more information about what we're looking for if you choose to use a spreadsheet. So I'm actually going to swing in here and show you my sample trial balance spreadsheet. So you'll notice it's very simple. It's literally 3 columns in a spreadsheet. We just need your account name. So these accounts need to match your chart of account names, and then any debits and any credits. So I'm going to get that out of the way, but that's just so you know, that's what I'm going to be uploading. You can also see an example here. So it kind of shows you the exact same thing. And then if you decide, nah, I changed my mind, I'm going to enter balances manually, you can certainly do that from this page. I also wanted to point out that because I got set up the quick way, here is where I can view the chart of accounts that Patriot has automatically added for me. I can add any additional accounts right here. So you see we have some asset accounts set up. We have liability accounts. So these are the accounts that keep track of money that you owe. And again, you can add new ones as needed. We have equity accounts. Again, you can add as needed. Income accounts. And then we have several expense accounts that we have created. So once you are through this setup process, you can go back and customize these further. You can get rid of ones that you don't need. You can add new ones. You can edit the names and rename them. And you can also choose to use account numbers in front of your chart of accounts. So all of that can be done later after you have set up. So I just wanted to point that out quickly. I'm going to go ahead and upload my trial balance spreadsheet. So my file has been uploaded and I'm going to save and continue. And in this case, you may or may not see this page. So this is only if your spreadsheet account doesn't perfectly match the names in your chart of accounts. In my case, my owner's equity, I just need to match here. The only reason that it did not get recognized is because this little apostrophe S, we are very literal in our matching. So that is why that didn't get matched. And then same with payroll expenses. The expense account name is payroll expense. So again, there's no apostrophe, there's no S on the end. So that's simply the only reason that I needed to map these. Otherwise, you wouldn't even see this page if everything perfectly matched the names. So I'm going to save and continue. And here you can see my trial balances that have been successfully imported. I can choose to edit these balances if I need to. I'm actually going to click this just so I can show you. If you didn't have a spreadsheet and you chose to manually enter your trial balances, this is what the page looks like. So you will just have, we recommend just having it, a piece of paper in front of you, and you can data enter all of your account debits and credits for each of your accounts. I also wanted to point out that the debits do need to equal the credits. So if you were to enter something where the credits don't equal the debits, we will give you a warning and you won't be able to save and continue until you fix that, because everything needs to be equal. So everything gets set up perfectly before you can continue. So I'm going to click Save and Continue. So my trial balances are in. So now I've moved on to the next step, which is to import my customers. So if I didn't have my customers formatted in a spreadsheet, and let me show you what my customer import sheet looks like. So very simple. It's literally just columns with my customer business name, address, city, state, zip, and phone. And note that those do need to be in separate columns in order for the import to work, and email. So here we show you that really the only required field that we need for a customer is either their business name, or if it's a person, their first and last name. The other optional fields are available here, but not required. So if you only had a list of customer names and nothing else, you could still import those in here. So I'm going to go ahead and import my customer sheet here and save and continue. So here I do need to match my column headers in my spreadsheet with the data fields in my customer record. So I'm going to quickly match all of my fields here. And then I'm going to continue. So here I can see what was imported from my spreadsheet. I can add more customers manually here if needed. I can make edits. So if there was something wrong in my spreadsheet and I needed to correct it, I can edit the customer record right here, or I can delete the customer if I didn't want to import them. So I'm going to continue. Everything looks good. The next thing I'm going to do is enter any outstanding customer invoices that have yet to be paid to me. So I need to make sure that these outstanding customer invoices must match the accounts receivable balance that I entered in step one. So in my trial balance, in my example, I had $3,000 in my accounts receivable. So I will click yes, I do have invoices that I want to add. This is how you add invoices. So even once we get past the setup step, this is what the customer invoice page looks like when you go to add an invoice. So you will be able to select from your existing customers. If you need to add a new customer on the fly, you can do that here. So you will need to enter an invoice date, a due date. I don't have any products or services set up just yet, so I'm going to add one. And I need to make this a high number because I need to get $3,000 worth of my product in here. I'm going to select an income account. You can have sales tax calculate. I'm not going to do this here for the sake of time. You can also apply discounts to invoices. So in this case, I have more than one invoice. I'm going to do two for the sake of time. So I'm going to save and add another. And then I'm going to enter. So it's going to take me right back to the customer invoice page. I'm going to enter another invoice for a second customer. And notice it did give me the option to use what I had already added, but I'm going to add another product here. And this is for $2,000. So I'm a tea company and I am selling a lot of tea. So I'm going to click save and continue. I'm all finished. I don't need to add any more invoices here. And it's going to show me what I have entered. So I just want to make sure that my $3,000 total does match my trial balance. So we will get warned at the very end if that does not match. I'm going to continue. I'm all finished with entering my invoices. Here is where it's asking if I'd like to save the products and services that I used on the invoice. You can change the unit here. So I'm going to do that real quick. I can choose whether to have sales tax apply and change the income account that it goes to. So I'm going to continue. So now I am all finished with the customer part. Moving on to accounts payable and vendors. So these are people that you pay money to that you owe. So very similar to customers, I'm going to import my vendor sheet. So let me show you what that looks like. Very similar to customers. So I've got my vendor business name, my address, phone, and email here. Also similar to customers, if the vendor does not need a 1099, all we need is the vendor name. So that's the minimum thing that we need to create a vendor record. However, if your vendors are 1099 contractors, we do need an address because we will need to create that when we create the 1099s. So I'm going to go ahead, upload my vendor spreadsheet. And here in this case, everything has been pre-filled. The only thing I need to do is select the name and continue on. And at this point, we need to know if this vendor needs a 1099 created. For one of these, I am going to keep it at yes. If it is yes, we do need a 1099. I do need to select the 1099 type. So these are the IRS defined 1099 types. So this is so that we know which form to create and also which box to report the money in. We will also need to know the type of business. So for the rest of these, I'm just going to click no, and then I will continue. So the next step is I will be able to see all of the vendors that I have imported. Similar to customers, I can edit these if I need to make an edit or get rid of them if I don't want them imported. So I'm going to continue on. And now I need to enter all of my outstanding vendor bills that I owe to other people. So my accounts receivable balance and my trial balance was $1,000. So I'm just going to add one big bill for $1,000 to keep this short and sweet. And let's just say I had somebody come to repair my ceiling. Oop, and I don't even know how to spell ceiling. My expense account that I'm using is repairs and maintenance. This 1099 type, remember, we just selected that for each vendor. So that's why this is pre-filled. It knows this vendor does not need a 1099. And I'm going to make my bill for $1,000. I can add comments to the bill. I can add line items to the bill. I'm going to save and continue because this is going to be the only bill I'm going to add. If you had more bills, you could add them here. So I'm going to move on. So I've gone all the way through the process. I'm at the very last step of my setup now. So this is where I would review my trial balance. You can see here, it shows all of the customer invoices I have added, all the vendor bills I have added, and then all of the journal entries that's going to be made. So none of this is made yet until I continue, but it shows all of my beginning balance entries that will be made and show up in my general ledger. This is the page that if for whatever reason, anything was out of balance, if the customer invoices didn't match the accounts receivable, if the vendor bills didn't match accounts payable, this is where you'd have the opportunity to fix that. So you could either fix the trial balance numbers, or you could fix the invoices or bills. So I am all correct. I'm going to choose continue. And yay, my beginning balance setup is now complete. So now I'm going to click Go to Accounting Home. And this is the accounting overview page. So this is kind of like the accounting home-based dashboard, where in the left menu here, the very first link in our accounting menu is our overview page. So here I wanted to point out that as new accounting customers, we do have a quick guide, which takes us to a helpful page on our website and walks you step by step through some of the processes. This also just gives a quick snapshot of your account balances. And then it also shows any receivable invoices. And if I had vendor bills, those would show there as well. So I want to take a quick minute and go down this page here. So in the left menu is where we have kind of grouped by receivable tasks, payable tasks, and then financial tasks. If I click the main accounting header here, it does zip up. So that's how our left menu works. Same with payroll. I can open and shut that. I did want to point out that we do have a reports page and a settings page. These will always be here in the left menu, so you'll always be able to find those. If I go to my reports page, this is a one-stop shop for all of the reports that you can find. If you have payroll and accounting, everything you can find here in one spot. So you'll see we have our accounting reports in one column here. We have our customer reports, we have vendor reports, financial reports, and then 1099 contractor reports. This is where you create the 1099s and you can e-file them, electronically file. Our settings page is similar, where it is a one-stop shop for any settings that you have. We have our overall account software settings, we have our accounting settings, and then we have payroll settings. So reports and settings are important to know, because that is where you will go to run any report and view any of your settings. So I'm going to go back up here, and I'm just going to work our way down this list and kind of show you some things that you can do here. So the first thing I want to show you is our general ledger page. So this is a relatively new page. If you're an existing Patriot customer that already has accounting, this is a feature that we're very glad to finally have for you. And this acts as a report. So you can filter by account at the top. You can filter by dates. You can actually choose how to display the information. So I'm set to modified cash for my accounting basis. However, I can change it to accrual, rerun the report, and now I see my accounts receivable and my accounts payable. So you'll remember I added 2 invoices when I was getting set up for customer bill or customer invoices that owe me. And then I have 1 accounts payable bill that I owe to one of my vendors. We also have the ability to choose whether or not you want this to display in debits and credits. So the debit and credit columns will show. If you choose not to display it, it will just show in one amount column. So I'm going to keep it at the debits and credits option. And then going down here, just showing you around a little bit, we have these tags. These tags indicate how the transaction was created. So these beginning balances were created through a journal entry. We have customer invoices, vendor bills. So this just shows you the source of the transaction. And then if I click the link below it, this gives me the details of the full transaction that created this entry. So if I zip that back up, I wanted to point out that at the end of every row, we have different actions that you can take here. Because I'm a premium customer, I can actually add an attachment to this transaction, and then you can either edit, void, or delete the transaction as well. We do have inline editing. So if I choose to edit it, I'm still in my general ledger report, but I can do all of my edits right here, which is really nice. I don't have to leave and come back to this page. I can do my edits right here. I'm not actually going to edit anything, just going to cancel that. And then also wanted to point out that if you do expand this, those actions then will show as links in the right corner here, as opposed to showing that little gear. So that just a little bit of a difference. We've also had a question, what is the difference between voiding a transaction and deleting a transaction? Which is a great question. When you choose to void a transaction, this will actually tell you voiding will reverse this entry, but it will still show on your reports. So if you want to create that audit trail and see that voided transaction when you're looking at your general ledger and when you're looking at other reports, you will want to void it. If you delete a transaction, it will say deleting will remove this entry completely, but it can still be viewed on the modified transactions report. So this is just a special report that kind of acts as an audit log so that you can see exactly what happened. But if you don't want to see this transaction when you're looking at your reports and you want to completely remove the entry, this is what you will do. I also want to show you when you have Patriot's payroll product, you can integrate your payroll with accounting. So this is just an example of a screening of when you run a payroll, your GL will show payroll as the source, and then you can click to open each of those entries and it will show the full transaction details. In this case, in case you happen to be wondering, this is a full service payroll customer. So this is where Patriot collects and deposits employee taxes and employer taxes on the customer's behalf. That is why they are posted to their checking account, because Patriot is debiting those amounts from the customer's checking account to pay the taxes. Okay, let us move on down the list. So that is the GL, the general ledger. Let's move on to some receivables tasks. So the very first link here in our left menu is invoices. So this invoices page is your overall snapshot of your invoice activity. So you can filter this by invoice dates. You can filter it by customers. You can filter it by invoice status, and then also by unpaid, paid, or everything. So similar to the GL, there's a little action wheel at the end of every row. And this is where you can do a lot of different things with an invoice. So I'm going to click View Details. And this will actually show you the same actions that you can take. So I'm now drilled down a little bit further so that I can see more details about this invoice. So from here, I can apply a payment to this invoice. I can email the invoice, and I actually did want to show you what that looks like. Let me pull a sample over. So when you email an invoice to a customer, you will be able to customize all of the wording in your email. So this is something that you will set up in your settings. You can customize the subject line, any of the body of the email, and then you can add the information to automatically populate. And then the email will have a PDF attached, and the PDF is the actual invoice. So here is a sample invoice. You can add your logo. So you don't need to be a premium customer. Both accounting and basic can add logos to your invoices. But as a premium customer, I have a little bit more options here. So I can choose an accent color. I can choose from one of 3 template designs. So this is what the invoice looks like. So I'm going to get rid of that. I can also print the PDF right from here. So I don't necessarily need to email it to see that PDF. I can print and download the PDF here. If I want to print and maybe give a hard copy to my customer or put it in the mail, I can mark it as sent. I'm a premium customer, so I can choose to create a recurring invoice from here. So if I wanted this invoice to this customer, particularly for this amount, I can set a schedule and have this invoice automatically be created and emailed to the customer. So it is hands off, and that customer can get an email every month or every time period that you choose. I'm a premium customer, so I can still add more attachments here. When you do add attachments to an invoice, those will be attached if you do email them. And then I can edit, void, or delete. So editing takes me back to that create invoice page. And then voiding and deleting works the same way as the journal entries, where voiding reverses it, but it still shows it as voided. Deleting gets rid of it altogether, but you can find it in one of our reports. Okay, moving on here. Oh, I did want to show you. So I'm going to click Create New Invoice because we do have the ability to accept credit card payments from your customers. That was one of the questions that we received. So I'm going to click Learn More just to show you here. So we have partnered with Card Connect. Card Connect is a financial service provider. There is a separate application process to set up your merchant account with Card Connect. And then once you are set up with them, I'm going to show you when you email an invoice and you have your Card Connect account set up, the customer will see an extra button to click here to pay by credit card. So when they click the button, they will see a credit card entry screen. So this is where they will enter their credit card number and then their billing information. The end customer's credit card will immediately be approved or declined. So they will see a payment successful message and to tell them that they can close their browser tab. If for whatever reason the payment is declined, they can click here to try again, and clicking that just takes them right back to that credit card entry page. We do have a credit card payment summary report that you can use to see credit card payments. And then you also have the option to receive an email anytime somebody does pay with a credit card. I'm going to move on down the list here. If you click the customers link under the receivables, this is simply just your list of customers that you can manage. You can add more customers here manually. You can import more customers from a spreadsheet, or you can click each of these customer names to get into their record and make any edits that you need. Moving on down the list here. If I click products and services, this is where I will manage all of the products and services that I'm going to be using when I create my customer invoices. So I can add I can add an unlimited number of these. And so this is where all of that is kept. I'm a premium customer, so I do see this estimates link. So I can create a new estimate, and my estimate creation page looks very similar to the customer invoice page. When you create the estimate, you can give that to your customer. When the customer accepts it, either verbally or outside the system, then you can easily convert that to an invoice. And then also we give you the ability to create customer credit. So if you have a refund or an overpayment you need to credit, you can create a credit and then apply that credit as payment towards future unpaid invoices. I also want to quickly touch on customer reports. So we have accounts receivable aging. So this is a nice report that shows you a snapshot of who owes what and when. And then we also have some other reports. I'm not going to open all of these, but I do want to point out that we have a great help center where you can learn more about each of these reports in help articles and videos. So we have invoice detail, we have a customer payment history report, we have a sales tax report where you can report on what has been invoiced versus the sales tax collected, and unpaid invoices. Okay, so I'm going to move on. So those were our receivables tasks. I'm going to move on to payables. So if you look in our payables left menu here, you'll notice these first three links are enter and pay bills, enter bills, and pay bills. So this all depends on the timing of when you want to enter your bills and pay them. So if you wanted to enter your bills and pay them right at the same time, this is what you would choose. So you're going to enter and pay your bill all in one swoop. If you choose to enter bills now, but you don't want to pay them yet, you want to pay them later, you would simply enter them. So you would choose enter bills. And if you want to pay a bill that you have already entered, you would choose pay bills. For this purpose, I'm going to go through the process of enter and paying bills. I also wanted to point out everywhere you see this little question mark is a link to a help article. So you can hover your mouse over the icon. It gives you a little hint about what this page is. If you click the icon, it will open a new help article in a new web browser window for you. You can also watch a video. Anytime you see the little TV icon, you can watch the video and it will pop up right here on your screen. I want to point out that this process for entering and paying bills is just to pay by live check only. So this is where you will purchase check stock, either pre-printed check stock with your check numbers on it, or you can use blank check stock for accountants who need to print different out of different bank accounts for their clients. I want to point out that you can pay 1099 contractors with direct deposit in our payroll software. So you have to have payroll, and you can pay direct deposit to 1099 contractors with payroll. If you just have accounting, or if you have both accounting and payroll, this screen is just to pay live checks to your vendors. So I'm going to go ahead, choose a check date here. I'm going to enter a vendor. My statement date's already pre-filled to today. Actually, I'll make this today too. And then I'm going to select an expense account. And then my non-employee compensation 1099 type, it already knows that because of that vendor. And then I'm just going to enter an amount to pay. I can pay multiple vendors with one process. So I can choose pay another bill. I can pay a different vendor, or I can pay the same vendor if I need to. I'm going to choose, and this knows that it's a non-1099 vendor. And I'm just going to enter my check info. So I've entered all of my bills. I'm going to go to the next step. So at the top here, I neglected to mention there is a 3-step process. If you do have our payroll software, it's very similar to our payroll 3-step process. So this step 2 is really just a preview of what the checks are going to be looking like. I can go back to step 1 if I see that I do need to make a correction, and I can click view details to see more information about the checks. If everything looks good, I'm going to click approve payments. And now it's going to ask me, would you like to print your checks? So I'm going to choose now, and I will show you what this looks like. So I'm going to print my checks. I do want to point out, if I chose to print my checks later, see in my left menu here, this print vendor checks link, that is where I would go. And then I can print my checks at any time if I wasn't ready to do that right now. I'm going to click download checks now. And a PDF is going to be created and downloaded to my computer. So we will give that, there we go. So you'll see down in my left-hand corner here, a PDF downloaded, and it is a 2-page PDF because I have 1 page for each vendor. So I'm going to put check stock into my printer, print out this page, and the top third, I have it set up to be the live check, and then the bottom 2/3 are my check stock. So I'm going to print both of those. Those are my 2 live checks. And then close out that tab whenever I'm finished printing and indicate that I'm finished printing. Yes, I am sure. Okay, so now that I have gone through the process of actually cutting checks to vendors, I also want to point out this update vendor payment history page. So you will use this page to record any payments that you have made to vendors outside the system. We actually have a feature that's coming soon that we're working on this page. We're going to be able to allow you to choose which account you want to record the payment from. Currently, it's set up to only record it from the account that you chose to cut your live checks. We're also going to be renaming this page. So this page title and this left link will be renamed to record past payment. So that will be coming in case you are watching the video replay and it's a few months from now. This page name will be changing. And so you'll simply select the vendor, enter the check date, select the 1099 type, which should be automatic, and simply enter your amount. What this will do is add it to this vendor's payment total, so that if you create 1099s, or if you just want to see all of the year-to-date payments that you've made for that vendor, you can do that here. I also want to point out that to create 1099s, I'm not going to go through that process here. I did actually cover that in my webinar in December covering year-end tasks. You can find the video recording of that webinar if you go in our help center and search for year-end webinar. And then we also do have help articles and videos that go through the 1099 creation process, and then the e-filing process, the electronic filing with the federal and state agencies. I also wanted to just show you one quick thing for vendors. At the very end here is our vendor list. So this works just like the customer list, where you can add more vendors, import them from a spreadsheet, and then just simply click on the vendor name to manage and edit that vendor's record. Okay, I'm going to move on to financial tasks. So the very first link here I'm going to choose is Manage Imported Transactions. So you can automatically import your banking, credit card, or other financial transactions. You'll be able to categorize and post them to your account. You also have the ability to manually import your transactions as well. So if you did not automatically hook up your bank to Patriot, what you could do is go to your bank's website. They have the option to download a file, whether it's a CSV or an Excel file of the transactions, and you can manually upload that spreadsheet here if you so choose. I'm not going to show you that process, but I will show you the process of connecting your bank account. So we do use a third-party financial provider called Plaid. And so I'm going to choose Connect My Bank Account. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to click Continue. you're going to need to select your bank. So if you don't see it in the list here, you can search for your bank. In most cases, your bank should be here. Plaid works with most banks. However, there could be a chance that you have a smaller credit union that might not be available here. So I'm going to choose Chase for my sample, and this is simply a fake bank account. And it is checking my credentials and success. My account has been successfully linked to Patriot. So I'm going to continue. In my test account here, it is seeing that for my Chase financial institution, I have a whole lot of different accounts with Chase. I'm just going to choose one account to keep this simple. So I just want to bring in all the transactions from my checking account. So I'm going to choose that and save it. Here, I can enter an account nickname if I so choose, or I can just leave it as my checking account name. And then I'm also going to choose the account in Patriot that it should be posted to. So I'm going to save that. The next thing I'm going to do is, if your bank supports it, we can retrieve transactions up to 2 years in the past. So how far back would you like us to go? So for simplicity's sake, I'm just going to go back to February 1st. So I'm just going to bring in 2 months of transactions. Now, if you have a ton of transactions that you do want to bring in, you may not be able to manage them immediately, but we will send you an email notification when all of those transactions do get imported into Patriot. So I'm going to choose February 1st. I'm going to click Import Transactions. And see here, I will see the link that says Manage Imported Transactions. This is the exact same thing as clicking this. So either one of those gets me to my Manage Imported Transactions page. Okay, so this is my worksheet that I'm going to use. And so nothing's been posted yet. This is my worksheet that I'm going to use to review the transactions that came in from my bank, and then choose to either accept or dismiss the transactions. A couple different things I wanted to point out here is that your banking institution sends us updates 1 to 4 times a day. Check back later if you don't see your most recent activity. We found that most institutions just send them once a day. We also have some nice features that make it easy for you to quickly get your accounts selected. So we have what we call Patriot Smart Suggestion. So we have an auto categorization machine that categorizes some of your transactions into the correct account. So what we do is use machine learning. We look at all of our customers in the aggregate to see, for that kind of description, what account are you choosing? So it's merely a suggestion. All of these accounts, you can certainly change to anything you need to change them to, but we're just trying to pre-fill and make it as easy for you as possible. We also have the ability to set up rules. So again, at the end of the row, you have some actions here. So I can create a new rule. So for example, I'm going to look for any transaction that contains the text Uber, and I'm going to name my rule Uber trips. And I'm going to make sure that any of my Uber trips get posted to my travel account. And you can see here, there are a couple transactions that will apply. So when I create that rule, there we go. There we go. You'll see a little magic wand. So if you hover over the magic wand, it will just show that you have created a rule, and that's how it's been categorized. You can also split transactions. So you can split between as many accounts as you needed. You just need to make sure that the transaction is allocated to all of the accounts that you want to. And this doesn't even make any sense, but I'm just doing it for sake of time. So you'll see, as long as I have allocated everything, I can apply the changes, and then you'll see the breakdown between the two accounts. So you can do that among as many accounts as you needed. This does not show here in this sample account, but we also remember what you have chosen in the past. So you will see like a little time clock icon, and it will already be pre-filled with what you have chosen previously. So once you have gone through, you will notice that there are just a couple accounts here where I still need to select an account. If I choose to accept this, it's going to warn me and make me select an account before I am able to post it. So now that everything has an account chosen, I can either globally accept everything, or I can individually accept things one at a time. So I'm going to go ahead And oh, one other thing I wanted to make sure that I mentioned, in the future, you might be wondering, can you post an account to a vendor bill or a customer invoice? Soon, the answer will be yes. We are working on that feature. So when you see this page, you will be able to actually choose to assign that to a vendor bill or a customer payment. So once I click post transactions, it will give me a success message. So show me that everything has been successfully created. And this will show on my general ledger. I also want to quickly show you back in my left menu here, we have a manual journal entry page. So accountants will like this. So we have the choice of entering your journal entry with debits or credits. However, if you are not familiar or comfortable with the concept of debits and credits, you can just select to increase or decrease. So you will still need to enter 2 entries so that the debits and credits balance. And if they are out of balance, we will warn you and you won't be able to post the journal entry. So I'll put that back to debits and credits. Also, what you choose here also is going to be remembered when you go to your GL. So if you prefer using debits and credits, that's going to be remembered everywhere. Moving down a little bit further, you do have the ability to reconcile your account if you are a premium customer. So you will be able to reconcile any asset, liability, or equity account. I'm not going to go through the process here, but what you will do is choose your account, choose a statement date, enter your account balance, and then when you continue, you will be able to actually check the box off for all of the transactions that have cleared that bank statement. You can also close your accounting period. So depending on whether you do this at the end of every month or every quarter or every year, you'll be able to choose your dates and then select an equity account. And then Patriot will automatically create and post the journal entries needed to close your selected accounting period. And then receipts and documents. This is kind of just the holding tank where you can upload documents here. You don't have to use this page. You can also upload receipts and documents on the fly if you are a premium customer. One other thing I wanted to show you is in the financial reports, we have several different ones. I just wanted to quickly show you one as an example. We have our profit and loss statement here. You can compare timeframes. So if I want to compare the previous year to this year, this isn't very meaningful data, but you can see the gist of it where I can compare time periods side by side. I can also drill down if I go down here, and each one of these is an actual link. So I can click into here and I can see the details of how this was arrived at. I can also click go to full report, and that will bring me to the general ledger. Okay, so just a recap of the coming attractions that we have. You're going to have the ability to record past vendor payments from any account, not just your one account that you chose for checks. The ability to assign vendors and customers when importing transactions. Sub-accounts, yay, for chart of accounts. We have a lot of requests for that. We are working on that. And then finally, the ability to import your chart of accounts when you set up with Patriot. We are also going to be working on importing some other pieces of information so that the setup process with Patriot is quick and easy. Okay, and now we have moved to the live Q&A portion of our webinar. So I'd like to introduce to you Jackie Greenfield. Jackie is our accounting product manager and also our advisor program manager. So she works with the accountants for both using the accounting and our partner program. So Jackie has been in the process of compiling the questions that you've been submitting and is here to answer them. Welcome, Jackie.
Thanks, Annie. All right, so I'll do my best to cover some of the most commonly asked questions. One of the questions we got was around sales tax for invoices. Is that something that's going to be calculated automatically based on zip code? The answer at this time, no. We do have our customers put in the sales tax as needed. We do offer a sales tax report, though, that you can then use later to take a look at what you've put in. We've also gotten some questions around inventory and job costing. Those are not things we specifically offer at this time, though that is something we are currently researching. Questions around what can be imported. I know people are coming from other software or wonder what that's like. So as I think Annie hopefully covered, you can import your trial balances, your customers, your vendors, and you can also connect to your bank accounts and import transactions that way. We do not currently offer multiple currencies. That was a question that came up. And the question came up about credit card processors for invoice payments. As Annie said, we do work with Card Connect at this time. And that is only credit card at this time, not ACH, which is another question. Another question that came up was around adding attachments to invoices. So for our premium customers, yes, they can add attachments to the invoice. And then if you email that invoice to your customer, they can get that attachment as well. Attachments need to be under less than 10 megabytes in order to be emailed. For bill pay, what is offered for bill pay? At this time, it is just check printing. And we do not offer the ability to have any kind of approval process at this time for bill payment. Folks asked about vendors who need more than one 1099 type. You can choose the 1099 type when you create a bill. So even if you've set your default vendor to have your vendor to have a default 1099 of a certain type, when you create a bill for that vendor, you can change that type. There's also an excellent 1099 report that you can use to manage 1099 types at the end of the year. In case you realize you missed something or need to change something, you will have the ability to do that at the end of the year. We do not allow for partial vendor payments, that came up as well, nor vendor refunds. For customers, though, we do have the ability to create customer credits, which can then be applied to customer invoices. And somebody asked about assigning transactions from their bank to customers or vendors. As Annie mentioned, that is something that we're currently working on, as well as sub-accounts, which was asked for. Let me just see if there's anything else that has come up. Yeah, so I think that answers most of the questions we got at this time. We do have a lot of information on our website, and certainly for our current customers, you can reach out to our support team, and other customers can reach out, or potential customers. We've got a success team, which I think, Annie, you've got a slide with information about those. And somebody asked about classes. We do have what we call departments, which are similar to classes in QuickBooks. So you can, if you turn those on in your settings, you will be able to assign transactions to departments. And then in reports such as your profit and loss, you'll be able to filter by those departments, similar to how QuickBooks works with classes. We do not currently sync with Bill.com. We are not covering payroll in this webinar. That came up a few times as well. So, any other questions at this time?
Okay. Well, great. Thank you so much, Jackie. I appreciate you taking the time to compile all those. Since we do have a few more minutes, I'm actually going to go back to the settings page, and I want to show you the chart of accounts. So I'm back in settings. So I got back here through the left menu. I'm in settings, under accounting settings, chart of accounts. So if I went through my one-click settings, this is where I can go back to make any type of edits. So I can add new accounts here, and then edit the names. And then this is, let's see, my show advanced options is showing account numbers. So if you do need account numbers with your GL, you can do that here. So we've got all of the accounts set up like that. And then also the option to show some inactive. So just different settings for you there. I also want to show you, you can also set up your transaction rules here. If you're not on the manage transactions page, you can also add your rules right here. Some of the invoice templates, let me just show you as a premium customer. This is where you will be able to customize your email information. We have what we call these data tags. So you can literally click and drag these right in, and then it shows here. So it will automatically be inserted when you create your invoices. And then the email body, you can say anything you want, sign it however you want. And then down here, as a premium customer, this is where you can choose one of 3 templates. So you can kind of see on the right here, the preview. You can upload your logo, and then you can actually choose whatever accent color that you need. Let me go back to settings. And then the vendor check print layout, I didn't actually touch on this page, but this is where when you are creating your live checks, this is where you will choose your either check stub only, check on top. So you'll see the check is the top third of the page with the check stub at the bottom 2/3, or the check on bottom. You have the option to print a e-signature. So if you didn't want to wet sign the checks, those can be printed for you. And I actually had that in my example. Not sure if you noticed that. And then if I do need to print my bank information on the blank check stock, so this is mostly the accountants who are using a lot of different bank accounts to print checks from, this is where you will enter that information so that it shows on the check. And then you will be able to nudge the different parts of the check. So you will be able to print a sample. You can feed your check stock through your printer and just make sure that everything lines up correctly. Again, we have help articles that describe all of this in more detail. I also wanted to point out that in the settings page, touching on the departments that Jackie mentioned, this is under company settings because departments is used in both payroll and in accounting. So this is where you will add an unlimited number of departments. You can choose whether or not to use them in payroll. And then when you set them up, like Jackie mentioned, you will be able to filter by department in various reports. Okay, let me see other reports I wanted to show you. So we do have this is the modified transactions report. This is the one that acts kind of like an audit log. So if I did have deleted transactions, this is where you would see that. And then you can see your balance sheet right here. And this is another one where you can compare the time frame and then also drill down if needed. All of these reports, you'll be able to print a PDF, and then you'll also be able to download the spreadsheet if you do need to export this into other software. Okay, so if you are interested, next steps in exploring Patriot's accounting software, we invite you to take a demo. This is preloaded with sample information. So you can go to our homepage, and if you scroll to the very bottom of our homepage, patriotsoftware.com, there is a button called Take a Self-Guided Demo. This is not a real account, and it expires in 30 days. So if you happen to be an existing Patriot customer with just payroll and you want to check out accounting and see how it looks in a fake account, you can certainly do that. Just make sure not to get those two confused because they do have different account logins. The demo will expire after 30 days, but it is a nice way just to see with pre-filled information, sample data, how everything works. And then if you have further questions, we have several options for you to submit questions directly to our teams, and we will be happy to help you. We will be sending everyone who registered an email with a video recording of today's session, and we would sincerely appreciate if you filled out our feedback survey that will be contained in the email. And I just want to thank you again very much for joining us today and taking the time to learn more about our accounting software. I'm going to keep this slide up for a few more minutes just in case you need to copy down the information, but I wish all of you a very good day. Thank you so much.